God, I left my oven on. It's fine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 147 of the Titanforge podcast, where Tunnels has left his oven on. It's fine, though. Welcome back,
Ignore
Tunnels.
that.
How's your oven?
Well, it's off now.
Okay. We have a special guest this week, Meeres from Echo. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Great to have you back on. We had you on a year ago or something, which I think was a pretty good
some time ago.
episode.
It's already been that long. Oh my goodness.
Time flies.
It was after they lost, or after they won one of the MDIs. One of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of them. I don't know. Maybe I was still playing at that point. Actually, no, that was probably the one where I don't know. It was a long time ago. Yeah, it was like
One of them.
one of them.
I think it was the first one you six-manned. Because that
Okay.
makes sense, because we talked about
Yeah, I think so.
like you tanking time trials.
Oh
Right.
yes, it was actually the first one. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
was
6 months ago or something then, maybe.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
mine. Yeah, whatever. It was quite some time ago, I guess. At this point.
Okay, yeah, everything's kind of running together. Speaking of things coming up quickly as well, the beta and Dragonflight itself all seem to be in the pretty near future now. We're almost near the end of the year, and we have some beta keys that we'll be giving away this week, probably next week as well. So anybody who wants some of those in our podcast Discord, that giveaway is ongoing now, and it will be for the next day and a bit. So depending on when you hear this, maybe too late, but there'll be another one next week. So
Yeah,
join that
there's
Discord.
another one next week. Make sure you join the Discord. It should be like in the description of the YouTube video as well.
All right, so we'll talk, of course, with Meeres today about all the great push stuff. We have some breaking news, though, well, not breaking. We have some one-day-old news from the Dragonflight beta that we can talk about as well, which is the Season 1 rotation of dungeons. The final 2 dungeons that we didn't know about in the pool are going to be Halls of Valor and Shadow Moon Burial Grounds. The other ones we already knew about were Court of Stars and Temple of the Jade Serpent, and then we also know which 4 of the 8 Dragonflight ones are coming in. Anybody got any takes about Halls of Valor, Shadow Moon Burial Grounds?
I think Halls of Valor will be fine, assuming it gets enough work done on it. It's like a dungeon that's 10
Yeah.
out of 10 aesthetic. There's there are a couple of bosses and a lot of the trash that needs like a re-envision on how it should work, but I think it can be in a good spot. I don't know shit about that Shadow Moon Burial Grounds dungeon though.
I mean, I can talk about Shadow Moon Burial Grounds. It is a really good dungeon, or was in the past.
Okay.
So I think it does need work in terms of the interrupt department, because it has a lot of mobs that are randomly like standing still, channeling and stuff. So maybe some adjustments there, but I think in general it should be a cool dungeon. I'm less of a fan of the Court of Stars personally, because like we did play it too much already. I think at this point. So,
True, it's been in the game twice already.
I think they need to, with Court specifically, they need to change how the profession buffs work. Like, make sure that all of them are unlocked. That way you're not going to go in there with a comp and be able to not click the buffs again or something weird. Or there's one very optimal buff, the trap. The trap just happens to be there and you not have the person to be able to click the trap, or you have to have somebody go blacksmithing.
I still
I
think
mean,
that those items were okay considering what we had in Shadowlands, like being locked to only one option of having to click and earn, and the other side having to be Knife Fae, for example. At least all the stuff in Court of Stars has 2 options, right?
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. I mean, or you do it like on on Tournament Ramp, where everything was just set. There was no trap, there was nothing, and you just do it full raw the dungeon. I guess that also works.
Yeah, that was nice. I do think that both Halls and Shadow Moon Burial Grounds have the interrupt problem. Like they have the same problem where we had so many silences and stuns, very long AoE stuns back then, and we don't have that capability anymore. And so like all those interrupts are going to be incredibly dangerous unless they nerf them pretty early on.
I think overall, though, just like Blizzard has proved that they can modernize some of these dungeons, and sometimes it requires them to just remove mechanics.
True.
Which, I think it should be fine, because even look at like Lower Kara. Lower Kara was, that's like a pretty recent dungeon. They've changed a lot about how Lower Kara works, and with Upper Kara, they completely changed how the sparks function. Like those do not function at all the same way that they did back in Legion. So I think that they've proven that they can change massive parts of the dungeon if they are given enough time.
Do you guys find it weird going back to like docks and depot that there's just no mobs that actually have like a interrupt cast thing
Yeah,
as
there's,
well?
like,
you
no
literally
interrupts.
never hit your interrupt button. Do you think they could like go in and, I don't know, add that to some of the abilities in these old dungeons as well, while like, you know, making some of the nasty abilities interruptible is a way to nerf them, I guess? Because I feel like you never pressed it
for
in.
sure.
I don't know about Temple of the
That's-
Jade Serpent, but
That's a Jade Serpent special. Jade Serpent doesn't have any interrupts.
yeah. Yeah, I don't
Really?
know.
But it also doesn't have any casts, so like...
But Shadow Moon does, Meeres says, so... that's-
Shadow Moon does.
Shadow Moon has a lot of stuff. I think they just need to rework it in general. I would assume.
The elementals in Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, from my memory, really cringe because they keep summoning those bone soldiers. I just remember like the very beginning with the bone soldiers and the Ellies was like obnoxious.
Yeah, that is getting skipped 100%. I mean, the thing is also, I think in all of these dungeons, it all really depends what affix we get, yeah? If we get a cool affix that enables like some skips or some like removal of whatever, I don't know. It's just cool. Like you can also take like the current affix, it is kind of cool in terms of like it can put it on a mob and it's like, oh, that mob was kind of nasty in the past, but now it's an infiltrator, so whatever. But if you have like I don't know, a bad affix, let's say, for the casual player base, like 20% affix, I think. Maybe a little bit worse than dungeons, so we'll see.
What do you guys think about the length? Okay, because we've got Halls of Valor, 45-minute dungeon, right? Then we've got Ruby Life Pools, which if that thing is 30 minutes, that might still be too long of a dungeon timer for something that is trash boss.
Jade Serpent is also 20 minutes. They added more trash Ruby Life Pools, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, really?
In between second and third boss, but Jade Serpent is also if it's 30 minutes, that is a long 30-minute timer.
Yeah, but then you've got Halls of Valor in here at 45, right? Like that's the longest dungeon timer.
Well,
that they do.
That's also a long 45. I don't know if if you
Right.
never wipe, if you don't wipe in that dungeon, you like two chested where you come in at like 38 minutes.
Yeah, that's kind of like Lower
Yeah.
Kara, where you had like 5 extra minutes, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the farther apart the shortest and the longest dungeons are in the season, the more like tension that makes for at least when you're like trying to just do your weekly keys, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the one that takes half as long, but I don't know.
Would you rather queue into Mist or in DOS, yeah?
Right,
What would you
exactly.
do?
Definitely miss.
Let's make it a good point. I don't know. They have a lot of really short dungeons in the pool though. Quarter Stars is also 30-minute timer. Like, okay, so there's 4 30-minute dungeons in there. I don't know.
That's been one thing really
Shadow-
nice about this season too, is that there's so many 30-minute timers this season. There's only like 2 long dungeons, and so doing keys in like a 4-hour session, you get like 2 more keys in a 4-hour session than you would the average season, I think.
Yep. And the affix is just W. I think that's one great thing about this
Yeah.
current season, yeah?
True.
You just walk in, you just get stats, and you're like happy. Happy person.
Yeah, I saw a lot of like negative comments about the affix, especially when it was first being announced and stuff, but I've really liked Shrouded so far. I think, especially if they're doing new dungeons every season, I think you need to have an affix that's like as simple as Shrouded. Kind of for forever, right? Like, could you imagine doing a really complicated affix and 8 new dungeons all in the same season every 6 months? So I hope this is the new standard going forward.
They should just bring back Tormented.
Ugh.
It actually wasn't even that bad. It was
Dude,
just not good.
That
Doing
was
the last
okay.
boss's RP walking though. Meeres, you did some RP. Actually, did you guys do the RP walking? No, that was Liquid that did the RP walking, right? In
no,
the Zymox's
we-
charity
yeah.
cache.
We
Yeah.
did the first person on Stone Legion Generals. What was very interesting, let's put it that way. And then we also did first person, first phase Sire Denafrius the whole fight. Like, interesting things, yeah? No, but I mean, I can throw you a curveball and say Infested. That was a great affix.
Oh, thank
really?
God. Oh, woohoo. They really should bring that one back, especially the one
Okay.
that interacts with normal affixes and they get bolstered and shit.
Okay, Infested doesn't bolster, doesn't drop Sanguine, doesn't heal from Sanguine. Okay? There's
What if
no
they move it-
critters like there was in Freehold that randomly get infested. Okay? No,
What
none of
I
those
told
the
everyone,
rats.
Yeah, a random rat in Freod and Toldergorda just decided to infest the next 5 packs, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
And they can't travel through walls, they can't climb hills, they move at 25% of the speed that they used to, and they can't infest packs that they came out of.
Well, and you get 2% crit every time you kill one, or 2% haste. Now
No,
we're
it's a
talking,
great-
right?
I'm down now.
One
Sounds
simple
pretty good.
tweak.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're here now, yeah.
That was a lot of conditionals we just put on that one epic.
I mean, I must say, I've been playing like M Plus and Dungeons in general since like what now? Like a lot. And Infested, I think I did like 10 weekly keys, and I decided it's fine. I don't need to play anymore this season, and then I didn't play anymore. So yeah.
That is a later me problem.
That was like the one affix that was never an MDI affix as well, right? There was just no MDIs that season or anything.
Actually, it was in one MDI, and it was as a like hidden affix next to Reaping, but we could ban all of the maps, and it was all got banned. And no one wanted to ever play this.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
That's right.
They also did the BlizzCon showcase that patch as well, and they had.
I remember like double sub rogue was the comp in that.
Yes.
Or was like the some people were playing sub rogue, some people were playing unholy DK. Yeah, that's good
I mean,
times.
there was some wild stuff, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we just need to hope for good affix. Like, the thing is, I personally hope for 20% affix because it makes MDI really cool and interesting.
True.
But I think for the overall player base, an affix like the current one, or like the, how's it called, the emissaries, like if you tune them a little bit differently, is kind of cool. And obviously the most best affix ever designed with Awakened, where you just go in, you have the guys, and you can skip, your team is, like, everyone is on an equal path. It's just great, yeah. If they make
True.
any of those affix kinds, I think then also all dungeons are kind of okay. Or gonna be okay, let's say.
I think everyone liked Encrypted as well as along the Awakened lines, because it just like anything that enables skips. I think the general population really likes.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the thing is with the way like Encrypted was weird, right? Because you had like some grief on the team, and especially in the weeklies, you just sent the AoE, and then it was sometimes really hard. I don't know, it felt a little bit more RNG than Awakened, where you just right click and you could actually be like, oh, guys, don't DPS. It was even
True.
easier, I guess.
Good
Yeah,
point.
I don't know. The skips part of it was nice. It was a lot of fun, especially in like DOS, zooming all over that place. But I think a lot of groups like outside of that didn't really use it for too much. Like it was mostly just killer every pack, right?
Well, that's half the movement speed that the Halls of Valor buff gives you after you kill the last boss, or the second to last boss.
The second to last boss.
Yeah, because you get it after Fenrir. Oh, I guess the third boss.
Third to last boss. Yeah.
Yeah,
Turbo, yeah.
Yeah.
third to last boss. There's 5 bosses.
Any of the bosses.
Onto
When you clear the wings, yeah, put it that way.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the regional weekend. Just great push stuff in general. We can talk about. We can also keep talking about affixes and stuff wherever anything is fine, of course. Side note as well. I already got to talk to Meeres and actually Gingy and Zalia as well on Echo Zone show they put on this last Monday. So if anyone wants to go check that out on like the Echo YouTube or stuff, there's a place for
good content.
further insight. Yeah. But always can talk about it for more. I don't know. I could talk about MDI or Great Push stuff kind of forever. And I know Meeres, you can too. So we're going to take advantage of that. Tettles, you wanna fire a first question?
All right. How are you feeling back? Trell asked this right before the show started, and I told Meeres to save it. How are you feeling now that you were back playing as opposed to being sixth man? Because again, last time we had you on, it was like right as you had swapped, and you talked about the differences that entailed. Are you happy to be back playing, or were you kind of enjoying the coach role?
I mean, it's hard to say because it's a little bit of a double-edged sword for sure, right? Like coaching has so many upsides that not having one is always a little bit, especially if you're trying to be this competitive, is a bit sad because I always look at it and be like, okay, I just played like 10 hours of Mage. I'm super depleted. I don't want to sit down and make Vigaras or look at recordings and whatnot. So it's a bit sad to see what you could do. But on the other hand, I'm also really happy that I'm like playing again because I mean, I do enjoy playing and it is a completely different world from tanking raids, let's say, or like tanking only farm raids and like raid leading and whatnot, and then going back to DPSing dungeons. It is really fun. So I mean, if we would find, I'm pretty sure if we would find another candidate to join the team that is like really insane at the game, let's say like Clicks, there's a high chance, I guess, that I go back to the coaching role. But for now, I mean, finding someone like this is probably not the easiest, I would say. So I guess I will continue playing for now, or at least going into Dragonflight the first season, pretty sure. Maybe there's even an uproar, who knows? Because Robin is like now is a DPS now, right, for Echo, and I'm still tanking. So maybe, yeah, there might be a universe where I randomly start tanking MDI and he's DPS in MDI. Who knows? Then you at least have everyone on the main role. So far, we have been playing MDI, I think, 90% with off-roll people, yeah? Like, it's just like I'm a tank main, play DPS, and then Robin is like randomly not there, then I tank, and he comes in, and then we play DPS, like, oh my god, yeah. So, there's a lot of things going on, let's say.
So wait, who's your guys' main tank? Is it Roger main tank now?
Oh, I mean, there might be some changes coming soon that I cannot reveal yet.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Now, for now, it's me. Yeah, like for now, it's me and Roger basically. But there might be a change coming soon. Who knows? But
No
yeah,
leak.
that's the general plan right now.
Okay.
All right, how did you guys feel about the the like? I guess which one do we want to start with here? Key level, maybe?
Oh, no.
24, 25, 26 starting key level. So the first couple weekends, right? The regional weekends, we were starting those keys off at 24s. And then in the finals, it started off at 26. Now you guys 3-chested every single dungeon at 26 on that. So did Ambition. Everybody else struggled with at least one of those. Was that something that was like fun to optimize? And how much work was it to like optimize those 3-chest 26 routes?
Oh, that is actually a funny story because we did have I don't know, either it was a plan from Blizzard side or it was I would like to have it differently, but basically how it was communicated was that on the day before the tournament at 10 p.m. We got told that the map started at 26. So we had to practice every day until 12. So obviously we had 2 hours left of our day, and then the next day was the tournament already. So it was kind of tight to get the info, let's say. And we were only practicing the highest keys, let's say, like we were playing a 32 upper Kara, like we tried it at least. It didn't work. But we played like a 33 streets, and we were like, okay, we basically played every key where we expected to be the highest level that is actually like possible in a tournament without like running against the wall for like a few hours. And then we got the info, oh, it's 26, and then we decided, okay, let's see how we're gonna basically not completely destroy our like super high key route, but make it a little bit more MDI style. So streets is a really good example where we're like, okay, obviously on the 33 streets, you put like 4 mobs and then you put like 6 mobs and then you chain 1 mob into 5 mobs or whatever. But we were like, okay, I guess on the 26, we just take the 4-pack and the 6-pack and Zulgamux and we all pull it all together and we last, yeah. And yeah, that's somehow kind of we how we got all the 26 strats. Obviously, we did change some things, especially like playing Zulgamux on the lower levels and then skipping him on the higher levels because he was just too hard. That was one of the major changes in almost every dungeon. And because of all those changes, we actually did run into an issue, what I mentioned on the other podcast as well already, was that in our 32 Gambit, our first run, I was confused about our routes. And because we had like 5 different routes. We had a 32 no Zulgamux Tyrannical, we had a 32 no Zulgamux Fortified, Zulgamux Tyrannical, we had like every combination possible basically. And I was just completely destroyed because we were obviously speeding through the keys and trying to get it fast done. And I was like, guys, we need to kill this infiltrator here. And then people are like, no, we don't need it. And I'm like, guys, I'm so sure I just pulled it. And then we played it, and then in the end we're like, okay, guys, we're a little bit over count. So we skipped like the 3 mobs in the last boss room. Yeah, not the pretty good count. You don't want to skip those.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, I guess we have too much count. So we just randomly played 1 stars here with the boss, and we're like, I mean, it's working out somehow. But that was one of the backlashes, let's say, of making the counts.
But by the way, for those who don't remember this or didn't really watch TGP, he said that they only minorly modified their dungeons. These psychopaths played the Stormforge Guardians into the first boss of Gambit, by the way, and then he's claiming, yeah, we just had minor route adjustments.
I mean, it was minor. It was
really.
The 4 guys into the boss was like, okay, I guess we just send it and probably we get hopefully we get +2 or something, or +3. We're like, I mean, it's probably gonna work out somehow, right? That was the mentality. It was a little bit spicy, not gonna lie. It was not the most favorable strat. Like, we were like, either we make it or we don't, right? That was the idea. But obviously, we did obviously change a lot of strats. Maybe I need to go a little bit back. Yeah, we did change a lot of strats, but it was easy adjustments. It was not big strat changes. Like a good example, Lower Kara as well. We played the Ushers on 26 and 29 because we didn't have Invis pot because everything was too fast.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
a good
on a
point.
32, we just skip him because we have Invis pot back and it's easy basically. And those changes we just made on the fly, like thinking about it, but there was not going a lot of practice into it because we obviously only had 2 hours on the one day, and then like 4 hours before the tournament. So on that end, basically, Ambition was doing an insane job at making they had a little bit more time obviously because we were NA, but they had really good time usage of their 26 routes, and they made really insane changes, and they did have a very good first day in terms of the 26s. We got a little bit lucky, let's say, because of the Iron Star on Iron Dogs. To go and dive into that real quick, it doesn't take too long. Basically, we had our Iron Dogs route and we were like, okay, it's impossible to make a 26 plus 3. We did not believe, okay? That was the mentality.
Oh no.
Because, we were like, we cannot do what we would need to do. What Ambition did was like a first boss pull, like a first room pull with like 26%. They just pulled everything in and wiped like twice, I think. So they got it on the third attempt. It was good to make it 26, but we were like, okay, we're not committing to this. We just play our own route. But because we have optimized our Iron Stars like so that they were so fast, we somehow managed to plus 3 the 26, what was kind of nice, I guess. And
crazy.
a lot of tech went into these Iron Stars. Yeah, we had like some bandage, combat drop tech, and I had some mirror image bug kind of thing. I guess it was not really a bug, but a little bit. So there was a lot of stuff going on, let's put it that way. And Clicks was standing there pressing Rain of Fire. I mean, he had a good race time as well, yeah. So.
Classic.
Don't worry, he's not even playing dwarf. That guy's on a troll, bat chesting, not even helping the rest of the team.
I mean, yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Now you said Clix is a good player. How do you know from somebody who plays Destruction Warlock for a whole weekend if they're a good player or not?
Well, Meeres also had to play Destro in some dungeons.
Oh, true.
Yes. I mean, I did play Destro, and I can say I had the Rain of Fire. I started playing Destro. I had Rain of Fire on Shift 4 because it's my AoE keybind, yeah. I realized after 30 minutes that I was getting a hand cramp at this point, so I was like, okay, we're changing. And I told the team, guys, I need 5 minutes, I make new keybinds. So I took my mouse as like an unlockable scroll wheel, right? So I unlocked my scroll wheel, I put it on F and on T and on the scroll wheel, and I just scroll wheel down the whole time and press my other buttons. What a beautiful experience, let me tell you. Yeah. Like, so I mean, Clix was having 4 keybinds, I think, for Rain of Fire because he was also playing it in the MDI. I think he pressed. We did actually check. Quick side note: we did check on the after the tournament because Clix wanted to know, and he did press in the whole tournament. I think he did press 38,000 times Rain of Fire.
Oh my god!
And I pressed like 55,000 Pyroblasts over like the whole weekend. It was great numbers. Yeah, I mean that happens. So
How many death strikes? How many death strikes?
I mean, I only checked for Clicks and me because we were like, okay, we spammed a lot, I think. So yeah, it was pretty fun. So yeah, no, but obviously to come on to Clicks, I mean, Clicks is a good player in terms of just playing the gaming. Yeah, he's just there. He's giving input when he's like, oh guys, this is shit. Yeah, he's like, I need Night Fae, I need PI, I don't need anything. I need help or whatever. I mean, it's just the communication in the team, right? Like everyone. So, yeah.
All right. Let's see. Why don't we talk a little bit about? So obviously we've been talking about the finals, but things actually went. I would say they went largely better in the finals than they did in the regional weekend, maybe, because. The regional weekend, actually, it was kind of close, right? You guys ended up at the same total score as Monka at the end of that one. And they were ahead for much of the day, right? It was like at the end of the day, you won on the dungeon timer, but they got to 193 points first, right? So
yeah,
how did all that go? And of course, you were coming into this as the 3rd seed, an underdog by Tettles' definition.
They were the 3rd seed. They were the 3rd seed, bro.
Yeah. Were you at all worried during any of the EU weekend? I mean, obviously there were 6 really good teams here, right?
I mean, I definitely do think that the EU qualifier was like almost a global finals in terms of like team strength because the EU teams, like the top 4 EU teams, were like really really strong in the first day already. and we were like, okay, that's crazy. Basically, we need to watch out. Let's say what is happening because we also didn't expect that it will be actually going into the direction that it went. That we will cap out the keys and we're gonna have a timer-based win or like maybe one key in the very end, like let's say the workshop 33, right? We were a little bit surprised in that regard. We also had a lot of missing information about a lot of things. Like let's say, like I can say that I was probably doing as mage on the regions. I was probably doing 5 to 10% less damage than I did on the Globus, just due to the fact that I was playing mage only in 2 dungeons. Like I mean, I did do good. Like damage was good in the time trial dungeons, obviously, because I did play mage all the time there. But I never really actually played actively mage in any of the other keys, apart from the little bit practice that we did, obviously. And it's a little bit hard to practice this kind of thing, yeah. Like the tournament is a bit different, so I learned a lot on that, improved a lot on the mage. Also got a lot of help, let's say, from like just looking at AoE rotation and whatnot. So that was kind of nice. But in terms of the overall scaredness, of course, I mean, let's put it that way, yeah. We're never scared. Like we would never talk about it. That's one team mentality. We're always like, we will win this, and that's a good team mentality to have because then you don't look at the other teams and be like, oh shit, guys, watch out, and then you're like insecure about your own strat, and we're like, okay, like we know what we have is probably really good, if not the best, and otherwise we just steal some tech from other people. What we did as well, obviously, we did steal unlimited amounts from the NA Cup. I can say, yeah, like we saw so many things on the NA Cup. We're like, okay, that's cool. We take that. That's cool. We take that. That's cool. Okay, we make it better. How it always goes, right? So
Right.
that's kind of nice. And the same thing we did obviously after the EU qualifiers. We were looking at the dungeons in a little bit of different mentality because we were also not like we did play high keys on retail, I guess, but I mean it's a little bit different. Yeah, like we play high keys on retail in terms of we played in the best push week for 2 weeks and that's it. We never play like shit affixes or like bad combinations or whatever because no one wants to play this. So we don't really run into issues, let's put it that way. And in the tournament we ran into issues, let's say. So it was spicy, but I would say that the team mentality is always going to win. So we were not like scared in a way, but obviously we were like, oh shit, Monka is doing really good. We need to watch out for them, especially in the finals, let's say.
I'm sure it affected you a little bit, but do you think it was because it was so early in the season that it was hard to pick up Mage so quickly? Like, maybe you still wouldn't have had the experience on Mage, but I think there would have been a lot more solidified meta with it being known that like Lock Mage was probably the play, right? If it was later in the season.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure, right? I don't think I would have played Mage. Like I don't think I would have played Mage on retail. I guess maybe. Well, it depends, but like in terms of the meta, you're right. We were really unsure about the comp for days, if not weeks. We were like trying Rogue instead of Hunter. We were playing like Rogue Hunter instead of Mage. We were playing double Warlock. We were like
Yeah.
testing a lot of things. Was not having the learning process of only actually ending up playing Mage, obviously. So that was obviously one thing that affected the overall learning curve. Some people were chilling, like Clicks and Mike were obviously always said they were like, okay, guys, we're playing these classes, and then you have me, and I'm like, guys, I have no clue. What do I play? Yeah, I'm like, do I play Rogue? Do I play Mage now? Do I play another Warlock? Like, we're testing everything, right? What is good to get insight, but it was definitely hindering the progress a decent amount, let's say.
Did you ever consider Windwalker before the NA Cup? Probably not after you saw NA Cup, right?
No, I'm not even before. I mean, one thing is I'm a good Windwalker. I mean, I know Windwalker. I love Monk. So I'm like, guys, like when the dungeons, I'm like, guys, Windwalker is not gonna happen here. I'm like, okay, if we somehow manage, like, if somehow Destro Waller gets nerfed again for some weird reason, and we need another AoE damager that does like bottom frag on the bosses, then we can get Windwalker in.
Yeah.
But the first thought that always came to mind is instead of playing Windwalker, you always play double Warlock. Because Destro and Demo, or like Demo in a sense, is basically a Windwalker that does a little bit less AoE, but almost double the single target.
Yeah, a ton more single target.
And one of the factors need to keep in mind that all of these dungeons have weird melee mechanics. Or had, okay? Until the
point.
stuff got fixed, removed, whatnot in the beginning of the season. Like, a melee hunt, like the Hunter, obviously always the meme with Mike that he's a floor POV a lot. But it is just a fact that if like Mike went into melee, had no cheat death, no night fade, no nothing. Everyone else was chilling in 40 yards range, was like lighting a cigarette up and was like, guys, we're chilling hard. And he's going into melee, getting one shot frontless, and then if you need to play a melee like Windwalk who actually needs uptime to properly AoE outside of cooldowns, you're like complete shambles. So we were like, we will never do that. We just play double Warlock if anything. So yeah.
That's very true. I think this season has been very melee unfriendly for the first time in a long time. Like the Shadowlands dungeons weren't too bad for melee.
I mean, it's a lot because of the kite meta in the past. Like from the old dungeons, from the old days, we just ran it out and the mobs didn't do anything. And now you actually tank them and everyone's surprised that like the chef give you like a slap with the ham or something and you just die as melee.
That was so funny. The ham fervent, just insta kill your melee. Ah, yeah, it's really normal.
Like I can tell you guys, I forced like I was pushing the kitchen to test the team, yeah. And Robin walked in and I got like a row of debuffs, yeah, like a roasted chicken, a ham debuff, a bite, a howl. I'm like, guys,
rolling
no
pin,
all of this stuff, yeah. Like, and then he got stunned as well. I'm like, guys, we're not going back here.
Kitchen is banned.
So how much did like challenge mode experience, if that helped at all, or like old Legion dungeon experience, did that end up mattering like a lot? Because you guys probably have the most experience out of any team with all of these old dungeons, because you were one of the top CM players. Like if you look up like, oh yeah, CM gold world record, Meeres is in some of these runs. Like, did that end up mattering?
I mean, for the challenge modes, for sure not, sadly. Like, okay, I mean, I understood the dungeon. Like, I knew Iron Dogs and Grimrail. But all the mobs got changed like a decent amount, let's say. And Blizzard did a lot of good fixes, let's say. But the main issue, or not the main issue, let's say the main aspect of all of the things is that with high keys, it's completely different mentality from challenge modes. In challenge mode, you walked in, you were double enhanced shaman and the blood DK and a monk, and we're like, okay, we pop AG, I press Fire Nova, and everything just explodes and nothing happens. But in high keys, you were actually like, I was going into dungeon, I was getting hit by a guy with the does the leg shot, the gunner or whatever, for like 5 minutes, writing down on. I have beautiful screenshots where I have a big text document with all the spell IDs and the timers on spellcast success, and I was making all the vigorous for like obviously the team, all the cast for vigorous and whatnot, because all of those things are obviously really important for the for high keys, yeah, because you need to see if you're dying. Like on a high key, you see the leg shot does 80% on you, and if you don't see a cast on you, like it's just like you're a little bit self-griefing yourself. Let's say if it's like actually matters in a tournament. So yeah.
Completely unrelated. Do you guys hope that they like? I hope that they add the dungeons on like M0 difficulty and like scale them up to be not what they are right now, to where you can actually go in and test some of them beforehand.
Oh, I mean, I really hope that they actually properly test them plus, because I do think that they were hurting a lot from the not testing this season, in just terms of that the dungeons were just broken in a lot of ways. Iron Dogs, the wolf in the beginning was having the biggest front. There's a great clip on my channel of Oshia who starts like he jumps back, starts swapping, and I roll to the right, and he kills me. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess it's a 900-degree cone behind him as well. Like, I don't know.
His hitbox is unbelievable.
So if they would have tested these dungeons, and hopefully they do it with the Dragonfly dungeons, like also the old, new, whatever you want to call them, Dragonfly dungeons, then they will get rid of like 90% of these bugs. And if they then do it how they did it this season, I think it will actually be a good experience. So that's one of the things. But yeah, I mean, one of the things, coming back to the challenge modes and whatnot, obviously it did help, especially in the Legion part. Like Legion helped a lot because you knew the general pathing of Lower Kara, what's going on and whatnot, right? But obviously most of the work was making the vigorous cast bars. Like I was inputting, like I was having like a 2 times 10-hour session of going M0 in the dungeons and just getting hit by every single mob with the auto-learning cooldown vigor on nameplate.
That thing is sick.
And I was just sitting there having my microscope, like the magnifier on, and I'm like, nice, that spell, okay, typing it down, you know. And then I was because we have like a custom cast bar vigor for targeted abilities that is like can do a lot of things. Private, sadly though. Yeah.
Of course.
Proprietary.
That one can do like everything, and I will input like basically every single spell that every single mob does, so it doesn't do manually. That's always the work. So I input like 350 spells for these new dungeons.
That's so much work.
And then the team filters out what they need, basically, right? I mean, I filter out myself afterwards, but it's like, I need to see this ability, then you tick that you only want to see it if it's on you, or if it's on Robin, or if it's on anyone else. You know, like
Yeah.
it's a pretty insane project, basically, like this Vigora, but it is like unbelievably valuable, let's say, because a lot of things you actually learn. A good example is Iron Dogs, the how's he called? The guy who throws a weapon at people. I have no clue how his name is.
Gatecrasher from the
Yeah, throw Gatecrasher.
Yeah, the gate.
Battlemaster
Yes,
or
the
something.
Gatecrasher. Yeah, and basically we found out only because of the target abilities we got that he actually targets someone in the last 0.4 seconds or 0.3 seconds of the cast. So your cast bar,
Dang.
you see the cast bar, and then it becomes green at the end, so you know you can pre-move and you only have one shot on a high key. Yeah, pretty nice.
That is so
but obviously,
sick.
hard to find out if you don't have like unlimited vision everywhere. Let's say. So yeah.
That kind of work is one of a kind to like Echo's team. I think a lot of teams try to do something like this. Like even my team made some weak auras. We probably made like 15 to 20 weak auras for stuff like leg shot. But that is so unbelievably helpful what Meeres did. Like that is a crucial part of their success, I bet.
All right, let's see. We can talk a little bit about global finals next, but first we've got our tip of the week segment. My tip of the week, sent in by Fargo, actually, this is a good one. If you're using LVY, which I don't, but if you do, nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people complaining about performance issues with this add-on, suite, and there is a GitHub link that will link you to a step-by-step thing to do to try and make your performance less bad with LVY. So you could go through this, do all these different things, and maybe have a better experience with LVI if you've been having trouble with it before. We'll put the link in the description and stuff for that one. Or you can just not use LVI as well. You don't need that if everything that it does you can do with like Plater and a nameplates or a unit frames add-on and some weak auras.
I think it's really hard to get away from LVI though, because it's just like so encompassing with like what it provides. Obviously, like Plater, swapping out your nameplates, LVI for Plater nameplates, I feel like is the easiest thing to drop. The rest of the shit that LVI does is the hard part to drop, I think.
I think Dragonflight's close to being able to replace LVI. Not the nameplates, of course, but the classic nameplates are terrible. But I feel like the UI changes elsewhere they're doing is kind of getting there, except for you can't customize your health bar, and the target unit frame isn't updated either. There's just like a couple more things they need to do.
Well, the unit frames as well, they don't have like blacklist, whitelist filters on them, and you can't add like custom shit to the unit frames. I don't know, man. That seems like a really big deal to me. I end up adding so much like blacklist, whitelist stuff to unit frames fairly regularly.
Oh, same here. That's definitely one thing they need to do. Just need to bite the bullet and copy what a lot of add-ons have done for a long time.
All right, Trell, what is your tip of the week?
Mine's also to do with add-ons and UI, but it's because each big patch that comes out, especially like pre-patch stuff, tends to break your UI or sometimes even delete your data. So what you want to do is go into your C drive or whatever drive you have your WoW installed on and back up your WTF and interface folders and just copy them somewhere else so that when WoW updates, it for sure can't get rid of your UI on accident.
Yeah, very retweet that for sure. That is big, important thing to do. Or you can just roll the dice on it, and if you proc, then you have to make a new UI. So that's the other option. That's a good thing to keep you updating your UI and not have too many old weak auras. So, do whichever method you like.
It's also good to just like screenshot your UI in game sometime. Like if you don't stream especially, just take a screenshot every now and then while you're in combat just to know what your UI looks like. And it can even help you down the line, like compare what you used to do if you change your UI at some point.
I'm completely rebuilding my UI coming into next expansion.
Yeah, me too, Copium. 100% this time.
That's a great tip of the week from me. Yeah, like consider rebuilding the UI for Dragonflight, because I mean they do implement some good things, like we said earlier. So I mean it is probably worth it looking into some improvements. Yeah, especially if people have stacked up the UI over years. Like I still see some people with us as well. They have the Vigors from HFC, and you're like, yeah. I mean, it is time to delete them. HFC is not coming back anytime soon.
You don't know that?
Unless they make
faded HFC, yeah.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
Go get them again. Like, it's fine.
All All right, Tuttles, what are we looking at in the clip of the week this week?
So, Genos, can you please explain to me how to optimize your performance whenever you spawn?
108.
I think 75. Okay, 108.
It's 108. Yeah.
108 ads on Sired and Athreus.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to. You want to make sure. Okay, so not all abilities will work on these things. Like spinning crane kick isn't going to hit them. A lot of stuff doesn't hit them when there's that many ads going out. A lot of different things get bricked by the server, so you just need to make sure you have enough people that actually do have abilities like Rain of Fire, Epidemic, Dark Transformation, Line. I don't even know what other things hit these effectively, but those are your best bet for killing these ads, and then you just wait until somebody kills some of them, and then your performance goes back. So, yeah, if anybody wants to try the 108 ads Sired and Athreus strat, you need that. You need every raid defensive in the game. You need every personal. It's really fun, though. I'd recommend this. And then nobody gets lifted up by the blood prices, so that you could just keep doing damage during all of them from then on.
Is this the only way to make a Unholy DK viable?
No. I actually did less damage with some Unholy DKs, actually. Okay, it was rank 1 at the time, but since then people have done more damage than me on this fight without doing this cheese, so it's not the only way.
Is that a player difference?
Well, okay. I wasn't AoEing the moats that hard for the rest of the fight, but also probably some player difference, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Being a nice guy, not AoEing the modes.
Yeah, and we had to stop damage as well to not push P2 too quick, so there's a lot of copium available. For a brief moment at the end of the 108 ads, though, it was fun.
I mean, Sire's a fun fight, yeah. I mean, we did raid today, and we were like, I'm also like, because I'm like, okay, it's fine. We lost 2 people in phase 1, so we just get the boss with two people dead in phase 1. And it's really good, because if some people die, we just don't need to DPS stop. It's like perfect, we just send it, yeah. Like, it's good to lose some people on the way, because then you get more AoE for the other people, and then they're happy, so. Always a good tip, you have to kill your fellow raid members to do more AoE on modes, yeah. That's always, especially if you kill the Warlock, and you can AoE, it's always important, yeah.
Okay, but you get to do more AoE the more of them die, because there's exponentially more motes the more AoE
but the
everybody's
Warlocks
doing.
always hold. The Warlocks always they have the copium, yeah? They have the big copium mask on, you have like the survival hunters, the nice guys, yeah? They put the damage down, they do the bombs, they're like, guys, we get it. The warriors are the same, yeah? They are target capped either way, so they're like, guys, whatever, yeah? And then you have the Warlocks, and they're like, yeah, guys, after 25 hits, you don't need to kill anymore, yeah?
I have to implosion. I have to implosion at the very end, bro. I can't implosion early.
And then they are like, guys, we kill the later ones, yeah? And then you have the Frost DK and the Warlocks, yeah? Both main offenders, yeah? The Frost DK, I see the dragon, I see my Vikara has 110 modes killed already, yeah? The dragon. I'm like, yeah, guys, the dragon, man.
Great dragon.
Oh, the best is when I call on the raid on the voice, yeah? Guys, it's time to, like, I call stop AoE. Best example, Shriekwing today. I call stop AoE. It has like 50 modes killed, yeah? I see it on the Vikara, I'm like, stop AoE. We went to 120, guys. Yeah, there is no stopping it. Yeah.
Well, I had to press implosion. It just presses itself. Okay.
You guys don't understand. I saw the Echo Warlocks doing this too, so I'm allowed to.
Yeah, the
it must
dragon
be right.
100 ads. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. At this point, the faded raids are like heroic, fun mode, so anyone can do whatever they want to.
Yeah, Enerva didn't even move this week on Mythic. It
Yeah.
was like a target dummy.
Yeah, she just keeps switching her phase. Yeah.
The best was today on Stone Legion. We decided to obviously we did a fast intermission. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
We happened to Blessing of Protection our mage, and I guess they somehow didn't drop the Animo Orb. I don't understand how that happened.
Oh darn.
Yeah, very bizarre. We had some bubble paladins, yeah.
Okay.
But
the other way of doing it, yeah, of course.
So yeah, no, but it's fun. Yeah, I mean, I must say the fader rates, like they are obviously very, very easy for like the majority of the gates. I would say, especially double affix made it like really easy, but it is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about the back to Great Push, back to main topic. So I guess one question that I think a lot of people have had was around the like whether or not you guys would stream, because obviously like sometimes in the past you guys have streamed some stuff, and then pretty often you guys will decide not to stream things. But for Great Push, it seemed like this was something that a lot of teams would be able to stream, and you guys ended up, and most teams ended up deciding not to actually stream Great Push, especially going into the finals, right?
Well, that was after Echo, of course, observed and stole all of Ambition's strategies with
Yes.
screen recording their POV.
I mean, I can say, like, the Ambition stream and the stuff, they obviously did help, yeah, thank you very much for that. No. I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, it's one of the things, always a hot topic, I guess, for streaming and whatnot, because we have not streamed in a long time, let's say, anything relevant. We streamed, I think the last time we actually did stream was a Junkyard time trials in the past. I think that was actually the last time we actually did stream MDI. And
You
there
streamed
was
a DOS you streamed a DOS that one time.
True, we did, yeah. Like we do stream basically. I mean, for the things that we stream in, let's say in a way, is that they are kind of irrelevant coming into the tournament, because we, how do we say, or how do I say? I mean, the thing is, streaming always gives something away. Let's say, and
Right.
it doesn't really matter if, like, obviously you can stream no voice, because voice is very important in M+. Like it is one of the major things where you have like the small call outs, like I'm calling out what we're gonna do next. Mike is calling the interrupts or some CCs, or like we just, I mean, the small micromanagement communication is obviously very important in a 5-man team. So
Yeah.
you have the option to not stream voice, but then on the other hand, like why would you then stream gameplay? Yeah, because either you stream everything or you don't stream anything. Like especially if you have, let's say in our team we have big streamers and they're like, okay, I mean you can obviously just stream. They have the normal viewer count, let's say, but I mean we're gonna give away so much for the actual like tournament that we want to win, and that's always one of the main things why we don't stream, let's say, is that we decide beforehand. We're like, okay, do we take it like seriously and like want to win this and we don't stream anything, or we want to do it like the Echo Guardian Great Push team before, right? We were like, okay, I mean it's more like a for fun project, because I mean there's not going too much work into it, let's just stream everything, right? And I think that's kind of the things we do. And then the eye streaming is obviously super fatal, I would say, because there it's all about
Yeah.
tactics. Like, I don't think anyone would ever stream MDI if they actually want to win. For Great Push, I understand it. But obviously on this thing as well, if there will be a Great Push later down the line with the same dungeons that were already in the rotation a lot of times before, streaming would give way less benefit than it would give on new dungeons, new comps, new like decision making and whatnot, right? And that's always one of the big things. And we were like, this time also, there's a decent amount of money on the line. We actually want to win this, because we're like, okay, this is the first time full like commitment to the Great Push basically. So then we decided not to stream.
Do you win the Great Push if you stream the whole thing, you think? Without comms, even?
Okay, I mean that's very hard to say. I definitely do think that it would have been very close in terms of with Monka with the timer, yeah.
Okay.
Because one thing that is obviously a thing, like Monka did insanely well, right? Especially for a team that has not been around for a long time at this point.
That seems crazy. Yeah.
Like they are doing really good, I must say, especially in the finals. But obviously a big difference was that they scraped barely by doing some keys, right? They had the keys barely done. They had like 10 seconds left, 15 seconds left, and we had always like minutes to spare, let's say. And in the end, we would have won on the tiebreaker as well. But it is very, how do you say? Like obviously these small differences in like strat optimization and whatnot you will see from stream as well. And then you could obviously copy that. And I'm pretty sure Monka is definitely capable also, let's say Ambition, like is capable of just copying what we do. And maybe obviously not be the exact timer, because it's always the case. That's actually fun. That's pretty fun. That has been around for basically the whole NDI, or the whole, since I do dungeon running, let's say. Every time you copy the strat, you will insta lose.
Always,
like,
true.
every single time.
If the other team, like it's the best example is our MDI, yeah. We always know, like we play the map on one day and we see like other teams have a bad strat, they will copy our strat. Makes sense. But then we go in with the full confidence. It's like, okay, if we don't mess up, we will win, yeah? Because you can't copy, especially an MDI strat, in one evening. You can copy the strat, but not the time. So that is also the thing with the Great Push, let's say. Like if they see on one day, they see the strat, you can copy the strat and you can time the key, but you won't get the same time result, let's say.
Yeah.
And that's like all of these things. Like that was actually one thing that was in the last MDI was very bad for us, because we were running after a lot of teams. We had a lot of issues. Doesn't really matter. We had a lot of issues and we were copying a lot of things. And we were basically, the best example was we were copying the DOS of Monka, yeah? And we were so far behind, yeah? It's just impossible to copy an MDI route after weeks of practice. We were like, okay, but they need to like mess
They're
up the dungeon,
DOS.
what they did, right? So we were lucky, but that's also the same thing. If you copy a strat, you will never win, and we're like, okay, so why even give the option to copy, let's say, in advance, if you actually want to win the thing, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that
I
makes
think it
sense.
would have
Yeah.
been very close. Like if you would have streamed, like obviously I don't know the outcome. Like maybe they would have won as well. But it would have been definitely very tight on the tiebreaker, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, that's definitely true. Like getting reps on a certain route or strategy will save you minutes over time of the dungeon timer. Just like Meeres said, practicing it for weeks is probably making that strat minutes faster than only practicing it for one night.
Oh, I mean, a really good example is Streets, right? We did practice the Streets strat for a decent amount because we're not exactly sure if it's actually good, let's say. We did make some change at the end as well because it was an easy change. But we did play it and we're like, oh, 33 kind of tight, yeah? And then we did play it and we did play it and we're like optimizing trinkets, like Bloodlust, we're optimizing some Infiltrator, like actually healing, maybe some out, like it obviously comes with play reps on the route. And then we're like, oh, it's really easy, yeah? We're like, if you don't die, it's 33, super free. So we're like, okay, I guess that's kind of nice. So all of these things just happen if you play a lot, I guess.
Monk is 33. Conversely, they copied some of your stuff and they looked so sus on the timer in the 33 as well.
Yeah, I mean, they also had a little bit different strat. I think their strat was a little bit suboptimal. But if they would have played our strat with our prac, and I would have had double, like we should have played double Warlock, was like,
Yeah.
I think double Warlock would have been faster. We would have had an even faster 33, like 35 minutes, I'm pretty sure, as a guess. But obviously, changing only for a 1 minute time improvement is not worth it on the Great Push. Especially, I was not practiced on Warlock, so I was like, let's not do it.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you, like, at what point do you decide to make a big adjustment to a route rather than a small adjustment? Like, when is it actually worth it, do you think?
I mean, most of the time it's worth it if you see something is like really much better for another team, let's say. So we were, what was it? I think we were looking at a workshop and we saw that they weren't playing Zugamux. And we're like, okay, let's look into this. And then we tried it on our own and we're like, oh shit, yeah, like we did mess up here. Like it's actually a big time loss. But then in the end, when we played it, we're like, okay, maybe it's actually not a big time loss because you do make the time up at one point, right? Like you do get stacks, you do get scaling aids.
Yeah.
Like you obviously do make it up at one point, but you didn't fully make it up in workshop because there's a lot of things with the squirrel and the mind control and there's a lot of things where the haste is not actually as valuable as it is in a
That's
lot of
true,
other
yeah.
dungeons. And the same thing happened in Lower Kara, where actually we was pretty funny. We showed our strat in Lower Kara. Aaron copied it. It was a great strat. And
I
we're
use
like,
that strat
"Ah,
on live. I'd like to thank you
Yeah.
for that one.
And then we're like, okay, that strat sucks for what we want to do. Yeah, we want to do a fast 32. Yeah. So we cut Zugamux and we're like, okay, because if you actually want to like do a time, not only a time key, but like a fast time key, like a little bit MDI style, we're like, okay, we need to stop playing this mob that we hit for 4 minutes and gives like 16 count in a dungeon that has 380 count. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided we just skip that guy and we just collect all the other mobs basically. And yeah, I mean then it ended up being faster. But those are like the big strat adjustments when it more comes down to the let's say the good thing is that we always have a strat that is 90% good already, and we only need to make small adjustments. Let's say like some pull changes or whatnot. So that's always kind of good. Yeah, I think the biggest changes that we made in terms of strat and whatnot when we copied was actually just re-evaluating Zugamux in every
Okay.
dungeon. Like we didn't play it in Iron Dogs. That was actually pre-decided because it was a bad dungeon, like a 30-minute time is not worth. Then in Gambit we didn't do it because we saw that the Gambit would just be like it's too much, yeah. Like you could play 2 Murloc packs or basically 1.5 Murloc packs if you count the Infiltrator pack as like
Yeah.
1 Murloc pack. You could play a Infiltrator Murloc pack and the running Murloc patrol instead of Zugamux, and we're so stupid for not doing this.
That's clearly worth more than Zorgamux is.
So we're like, we skip it in that as well. Then we were in Lower Kara, as I said, we wanted the faster 32, so we skipped it. In Junkyard, obviously you play it, it's free.
Yeah.
Upper Kara,
Yeah.
you need to play it. And in Streets, we were like, okay, no way. Like if you go 32, 33, Zugamux just becomes impossible if you don't have a Demo Warlock. It's actually really easy calculation. I went into this tournament with the expectation Fire Mage will kill this mob, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Very wrong. Fire Mage does good damage. Like, it does damage, right? I mean, it's good. It does boost the whole time. It does damage. But the demo warlock, it calls in voice, guys have Tyrant, yeah, and then the shield spawns, and you see the Tyrant bolt, and shield is gone, yeah. The fire mage is like, guys have combust for 25 seconds, yeah, I do damage, yeah, nice, cool. So, like, Zugamux without demo warlock, always very grief on high keys, I think.
That's interesting. Glad to
Okay.
hear that.
I feel like there's a lot to unpack there. So with 3 pots and
Yeah.
speed ahead of their time with the double warlock comp, they were the only people who played it during the European regionals, and it looked really good when they were playing it. Were they ahead of their time?
I mean, we did play it as well. We like we didn't play it in the time trials, right? But we did play it before, like right after time trials, we played double warlock as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think other people did start playing it as well because we played it on EU. I know that. On NA, I don't know. But on EU, obviously, people tried it because we played it, and then people were like, "Oh shit, maybe we should look into it." And I do agree, it is really good, but it does have a lot of downsides in terms of the Fey and PI management of the priest. Because on some cases, the Destro Warlock will need PI to do like any relevant single target damage on Inferno. And then on other hands, he needs also, how's it called, Night Fae if he's playing, like if you want to do actually AoE, and then the Demo
he's doing
Warlock is a little
dogs
bit
build.
useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the thing is, there's a lot of issues in having a double comp that wants all of the externals. But mage is a little bit easier. You just like, because I'm the beta mage, let's say, and Clicks is the alpha warlock. So he got all the PIs, let's say, and I got sometimes like the leftovers. What I think is fine. What I think is actually the right decision, by the way. I think a lot of teams were inting giving the mage things, yeah, and that comes from the decision that mage is actually kind of cool in doing single target.
Yeah.
But if you go into a pack that has a 55 mobs, yeah, okay, that's maybe over exaggerated, but let's say you have like 10 mobs, okay? And obviously the warlock sends Infernal, gets a PI and Night Fae, and gets Infernal back. And just hit the Infernus, just hit the single target, let's say. And the mage, he just chills, does a single target combustion with, like, let's say, good verse mastery, like haste mastery build, like what I was playing as well. And you get your single target, like you get your combustion back without needing Night Fae, which means you're not useless on the next pack. Because if you start doing this and giving the Night Fae and PI to a warlock, and as a mage you do a AoE combust, guys, I can tell you, I can make go coffee, I have no impact anymore. Yeah? Like, if I start hard casting flame strikes on 6 mobs, I do like less than tank. I think Ken, if he would actually not heal, he would probably do more damage than me, yeah? So, like, all of these things, and in the other hand, I can just do a single attack combust, do maybe 30k less overall damage on the pack, right? But I would just kill this one target. A good example, Lower Kara. What a lovely dungeon, yeah? I going down on Moreau's room, right? There's like these wardens, yeah? Cool elementals, yeah? And like 800 guest packs. Guys, I see one target, yeah? I have Infiltrator and Warden, yeah? They're getting single target combust. Guys, I popped Sigil, Potion, I sent those guys home, yeah? Single target, and it was perfect because they did die. I had a little bit ignite damage on the other targets, and then the Warden died right when all the guests died. I'm like, guys, we chain. And then you can actually move on in the dungeon, and you're not like the mage is like, guys, I need to do flame strikes. And then
I see one target. Oh no.
I mean, obviously, this is very specific. I don't think this is the mentality you should probably have if you do pack keys or whatever, right? Like, this is more for the great push where I knew what I was going into, where we did play the keys, where I'm like, okay, we need single target here. Clicks will do the AoE with Mike, and obviously there's more controlled things. But Mage was really good at that, and obviously stealing externals to do single target instead of giving it to the Warlock who does 150k constant damage. A little bit grief, yeah. So, yeah.
Little bit.
That's some really good info. I'm glad you're saying all that.
Mages around the world are not.
Mages are mad. All the mages are pissed.
Obviously, I obviously need to say as well, Mage can do really good AoE, and if you plan around it as well, like if you do Infernal, like I got a PI as well sometimes, and I also did get Night Fae a lot of times to do AoE as well. If the Warlock gets it back and whatnot, right? It's a very hard thing to judge, especially like I can tell you, Ken was juggling the Night Fae. Yeah, he was having fun. He was like, here's ready. I give to him, and then like he was having a blast. Let's say, yeah, like. So that's pretty fun, but it obviously adds another layer of difficulty.
Well, I mean, like the first pull of Gambit, you watch mages actually burst for 250k DPS on that first pull.
Yeah, I was doing that. Was a good pull. I was blasting. I was out DPSing Mike at one sometimes when he was not having good procs. Yeah. So but then obviously that pull, for example, good example of that. as mage, your AoE there because the pull lasts so long, so you get your combustion actually back, and you're not dead weight. Yeah, but obviously
Oh,
lower Kara is a good example where when I AoE, I'm on the next pack singers. I AoE one pack, next pack complete AFK. Yeah, but if I sing attack the infiltrator, I still do damage to the singers, and then I have another sing attack, and then I have an AoE combustion for the next pack, and then I walk up, AoE combustion comes back, and I can do damage again. Right?
Okay.
It all comes down. It's kind of cool. It's like Monk and Seth charges in the past where you didn't have the cooldown reduction like in last season. So you had to plan around where you would pop your Seth or where you didn't pop your Seth, like to hold and whatnot. So it was a little bit cool cooldown management, let's say. Also did get a lot of help from people that how I can optimize my AoE outside combustion rotation, let's say, because I was struggling with that. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, speaking of the singers in Lower Kara, I don't remember if you guys ever pulled that whole room together, but did you ever consider doing that?
No. Actually, we didn't because both times we had bad affixes. I think one time we had Fortified Raging, and Robin was dying. Like he was like, guys,
okay, yeah.
Like we had two mobs, and Mike asked, "Can we chain?" And you hear the push to talk from Robin, the keyboard. Guys, I can't. He's dying to two
Dude,
mobs,
those mobs are insane. They hit so hard.
The European regional, the fortified raging, every single time every team gets to the horse room. All right, well, so they're 15 minutes under the timer. They can afford to wipe here. And like clockwork, the second pull of horses, the tank dies. They were just like, okay, yep, he's dead again. All right, run it back. This is fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was very hard. I think both were very hard. Like both were raging. I think one was Tyrannical, right? The finest.
Yeah. Is raging explosive Tyrian? Was that right?
No. I think it was fortified explosive raging in the time, like in the cup, and then it was something else in the.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a fun experience.
All right. Let's see. Anybody got any questions about any other dungeons before we go on to the end here?
Oh, Junkyard being uncapped, yay or nay? Were you a fan of that?
No, I mean, okay. So a few issues, let's say. I was hoping the Junkyard's not in the tournament in general. I think that sucks, yeah, because having a key that purely relies on you need to survive, you play to death. And you're like, oh, we barely put 3 mobs, we're dying. Yeah? It's a little bit weird, I think. First of all, I mean, Junkyard in general is just a bad key. I mean, they did cap the shock bots, so I guess that was a good decision. And they did put Grievous, was also a good decision. Because that was capping out the key, kinda. But all of those things, like, why even do it? If you had a 35 cap, let's say, talking about the cap, it's kind of nice. You do your Junkyard, and you're like, okay, I can chill at least on this key for the rest of the tournament. In this time, in the tournament, we were always like, can we actually do a 38 Junkyard? Can we do a 37? How long time do you need to invest into this? And it was very weird, let's say, to play a key where your whole purpose was, I mean, in the end it kind of shifted, right? Because we were like, okay, we just send the damage because it was easy to live, let's say. But your whole baseline idea going into the dungeon is like, it's whatever. We just don't die and we time the key, yeah. I don't know. I was hoping for it to not be in the tournament. Obviously, they did make it very obvious to say, it's uncapped. Who would have thought, yeah? Now, we're not running a 36 street.
You mean on day 2, seeing that the dungeon starts at 30? There's no possible way you could know.
Yes. So,
what dungeon could it have been? Who's this dungeon? It starts at a 30.
So, obviously, I mean, I think it was obviously a challenge. Shout out to the Chinese team, yeah? Team performance. I don't know what they did. But they were gods in the dungeon, yeah? Like, we just went in, and I still do not know to this date how the mage does 10k more than every other mage on the planet on single target. But that's another story.
Those Chinese mages, man, I swear.
Oh, yeah, true.
But basically, we did study their route, and we took a lot of elements of their route. We obviously implemented some of our own. But they had an insane Junkyard, yeah? Like, they had a lot of practice in this key, and they just fucking cruised through, and I was very, very surprised how good they played it.
Dude, they killed Gobamak, I still remember the time, 25-45. No team was ever close. If teams were pulling Gobamak at 25-45, we're like, damn, that's a fast run. Not bad.
Actually, I think we did kill it. Didn't we kill it 26 or something? Let me see.
At some point you did, but there were the first couple of runs that people were getting deep into 37, they were not close.
Yeah, we did kill it 26-15, exactly.
Yeah.
But that was a good run as well. We did shamble in the end, so that was another issue. Yeah, I mean, a junkyard, as I said, I think I don't like the key concept. Yeah, it feels very, very odd. And for the great push, it didn't really feel like I don't know. I mean, it didn't really feel like a cool key to play. Yeah, I was very happy when it was over. Let's say, and if it would have been 35 capped, at least I knew 2 hours before that was over.
Yeah, sure.
True. Did you think it was possible to do 38 if you guys had time?
No,
God.
I don't think so. The main issue is actually especially on the mainstream as well. Like I did appreciate that you guys as casters as well. Yeah, you did have a lot of copium in the 34 streets and like other keys. Yeah, but one thing that you need to keep in mind is that the scaling is obviously going higher and higher, and you just look at the numbers and like let's say from a 33 to a 34, I think it was like 114% increase. Where it was, if to put it into perspective, like a 30 to 31, I think is like 90% or something, yeah? Like, even though it's not that big of a number right now, but if you go from already such a high modifier with another 20% on top of the such a high modifier, like, nothing dies anymore, yeah? Like, the 33 street was already, like, in terms of the mob HP a stretch, because nothing would ever die on a 34. Like, we're just hitting a mobs forever, yeah? Like, these mobs, they have, like, I do, like, 2 single target combust on one mob, and I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, nothing is dying. A good example, we did this pull in front of the animal area with the dinosaur from Atal Dazar.
Yeah.
And on the 33, I swear to God, Mike's pet got lapped by the tigers, and he didn't do damage. And Click sent 3 Infernos on this pull, yeah. It didn't die, yeah. Like, I mean, I was amazed. I was not doing any damage. It was 5 targets. I was single targeting this guy. I was flame striking a little bit. It was horrendous experience, this pull, yeah. And Robin was, I think, at the end, he was almost beating me. And Mike was, like, chilling below the tank almost because his pet died the whole time. Oh, my God. What a horrendous pull, yeah.
It's just one of those things that we watch you guys and you, like, breeze through one dungeon level lower, and then we're like, oh yeah, you just like absolutely breeze through 33 streets, and you're like, maybe 34 is possible. It's like, yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, you just make the 30. It's crazy because you one shot the 33 and you make it look so easy, and it wasn't a progression key, and so it's like, yeah. Wait, is the 34 doable? Because we don't even see you struggle there for like an hour or 2 hours, where at least with the 37 yard, we saw every team sit in 37 yard for an hour and a half minimum, and then they time it eventually, and we're like, they're not going back to that dungeon. That dungeon's done.
I mean, one of the big issues was also actually, that was one of the good things we did, was that on the second day, we decided to not go into junkyard again until the last minute, whatever. So we could, if we wipe, we just practiced a little bit, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure it was on stream, to be honest, but we did like Goa Mark, we checked damage intake.
Some of it was.
Yeah, we checked damage intake, and we were collecting bots for 35 minutes, guys. This was a struggle, yeah. Like, so we went back to Gobermark, we tested the damage intake, we realized it's super free, and then we realized our strat sucks super hard, we need to change everything. So we went into on retail on the next day for like an hour with I was on my warrior at like a 20 junkyard from a weekly key, and we were like running the route and like looking at the mobs where we play and whatnot. And that's why we basically one-shotted without Mike's DC, right? So we had a really good junkyard. Like we would have had a 36 minutes as well. We would have been like team performance. But it's like the issue people had was that they believed the 37 was kind of easy, I guess, on the second day. And teams spent like hours in this dungeon. And it was just really hard because they all copied like the Chinese strat what we had as well in the beginning from like the Shishu Gaming. I'm sorry to butcher the name, I guess. Like they had a good strat for their cup, but it was a really bad strat for 37. So they were struggling in the timer even. Like even if they didn't wipe, they would have struggled on the time. Ambition was a prime example, right? I think that they played it 2 times on time or something.
Something like that. They lost the tournament off of the junkyard.
Yeah, it was really bad. So that was pretty good from our side. We were like, nah, guys, I think it's fine. we sit on the 36 because we inted actually. So we didn't have too many point losses.
So bad.
Yeah, happens.
It does happen. It happened to every team. I mean, whenever the teams are like that caliber, it's like some of the teams that they didn't 3-chest their 26s. Some of the teams got stuck in junkyard and depleted it off time for a while. You guys had a 36 junkyard. I mean, nobody's weekend is going to go perfect, especially whenever you're playing at that level.
Yeah, I mean, it was intense, and that was the only. I mean, we had a flawless first day, what was very nice for us, I guess. Like
That was
giving the
crazy.
giving the flawless first day and having basically done every 31 gave so much leeway to decide what do we even want to do, because you had so many options. You're like, okay, this is easy 32, this is the easy 32, so you start with the 32s easy, and then you look into the new key, and we basically already had like 3.5 hours of our first day was like really set in stone easily without a lot of issues. But obviously helps a lot going into the tournament with a good mindset that we're like, guys, we're good, yeah. And also striking a little bit of fear in the other teams always works, yeah. Has always worked in the past.
Yeah, it puts them under
For
so much
sure,
pressure,
for
right,
sure.
to try and like catch up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just walking into day one of that tournament with affixes that you learn at the very start of the day, and then not make a single mistake basically the entire day is so nuts. Like that is just fear-inducing, like you said, for all the other teams.
Yeah, I mean the 5 hours were, we did speak about it with the other boys already. Like this definitely more intense to play than MDI in terms of like the 5 hours, because
Really?
you just sit there 5 hours pure pressure. Like the break is not a
Yeah.
break, obviously. Like you use the break tactically because it's an online tournament. Like what do we do in the break? Like best example was in the first day we saw the Iron Dogs that ambition +3. Like I said, we didn't plan for +3, so we were like, okay, we do everything else until we can take the break. We took the break. We look at ambition. We're like, oh no, we cannot copy this pull. Let's just send our strat and hope for the best. Obviously, it didn't help. Let's say the break. But this was one thing where there's not a break. Yeah, everyone's looking at the recording and be like, oh, how's it looking, whatnot. So that's always one of those things that the 5 hours were very, very like very high intense hours, because if, like you said, one mistake might cost you half an hour. Like obviously that did not matter in the end, let's say, because we did have free time, but you never know that.
The mic DC by itself cost you guys an
An
hour
hour.
15 minutes. Yeah, an hour by
Yeah.
itself. Like I don't even know. That was a costly DC.
That
There's
was-
just like
that was
that
really
was.
Yeah.
I think your telling of not adapting the ambition pull at the start of Iron Dogs is huge. Like I think a lot of teams that are new to Great Push would be like, okay, we have to do that pull no matter what. We have to just make it work because they three chested it. But you guys deciding not to and then actually winning the three chests with your own strat is so massive.
Yeah.
I feel like as like the team lead in my situations over the past, I've had to shut down so many ideas of like, oh, we have to do it this way because the other team did it successfully. And sometimes that pays off when you shut it down, but sometimes it doesn't. You're like, oh, now I'm gonna regret this choice forever.
Of course. I mean, obviously we do regret some choices as well, but with this much experience, like over like I don't know how many years at this point, it's easier to make the judgment call. But like we have more. I think it's also, especially with newer teams, I would say they have less trust in their own strat. Yeah, like
Yeah.
we go in, and even if our strat is bad, I will probably say, guys, the strat was good until it was bad. So
Well, the
Yeah,
strat was good
exactly.
enough for you to be happy with it coming into the weekend. So I mean, clearly it's not a
Yes.
bad strat.
Yeah, but then if you're one of these new teams coming in and you see Echo doing something different, there's just like in your head, it's just like, oh my god, we have to do like that has to be so much better
The
than what we're doing,
self-doubt.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a self doubt, and I'm really like, because I'm making like mostly all of the routes, right? I just look at the MBT, I go in my head, I run the route, I like look what everyone is doing in my head, and I just link the MBT, and I'm like, guys, this looks good, and then I like explain I basically how it works is I make the route, and then I tell everyone before we even play the key once, this is how you guys play it, yeah. And I'm like, okay, we pull here, you guys pull that, and I have everything like planned out in a way. Obviously, it doesn't work out a decent amount of times, to put that way, because something happens in the key. But that's how we go into the dungeon, and then everyone, or maybe I at least have a lot of confidence in the route because I already see it working in my head. I'm like, okay, nothing can go wrong here. And then we only improve from there on, and we only just build on top of the things we did in the keys, let's say, or like in the pulls, we're like, oh, let's add that, we can have more damage. Let's cut that because it's too hard, or like Ken is like, guys, this is not possible, and then we're changing a pull, let's say, or whatnot. Like all of these things are obviously the teamwork. But yeah, I guess it's because we're confident in what we put down in the beginning. Obviously, some things we do change because we're like, oh, guys, completely into it. Does happen sometimes. Like, best example is DOS in MDI. Where, like, was just bad spread, like, it was a bad approach to the dungeon, and
Yeah.
Monk had a really insane approach. And we're like, okay, I mean, we don't. The worst part was in that one is actually when you come to this point where we're like, we don't want to copy strats, but I looked at the MDT for hours outside, obviously. I was like, guys, this is the perfect route. Yeah, and I'm like, there's nothing, there's nothing I can improve on this route that will make it like better or faster or anything. It's just capped out the route basically, like the how you could call it. And that's sad because then you sit there, you're like, we didn't run that route, and someone else is running it, and we need to now copy a capped out route. Pretty spicy.
Yeah.
That's probably what a lot of teams feel like when they see your routes all the time. You had to experience that
Yeah,
one time.
probably does happen, yeah. I mean, we did have Click tell us exactly the same thing when he joined us because he was obviously playing with Dr. J the previous seasons, and he was like, yeah, if we did something, they just copied it, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, I mean, that's obviously, I mean, maybe good if you have a bad strat, but also not the thing where you will end up winning, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same with Race to World First, right? It's like you can get closer, but you're never going to get it overtake, right? By
Oh yeah, I mean,
video
it's a
watching,
good,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jayla is a good example, right? We had our strat, we ran our strat, and we were like set on the strat, yeah. And Liquid had their own strat, and they didn't want to adapt to our strat. Obviously, in hindsight, it was clearly their strat was worse than ours. I mean, they did swap to our strat eventually, but they had a lot of like belief, or maybe too long. Obviously, I mean, you can whatever hindsight you wanna put on this. But they always had their idea of how they want to kill the boss, and they were going through with it. And they also had their other approach. Like they had an approach where like, no, we don't practice phase 2, we go phase 3, and we practice phase 3 on Jailer. And we decided, like, actually Roger was, I think, or someone was, we like Scribe Roger and we were standing at the PC, and one of, like, I was not the one, either Scribe or Roger was like, let's just skip phase 2. And I think it was Scribe and me, I think it was Roger saying it, and then Scribe and me were like, no, this is not good. Because then you lose a lot of things. And it's the same with the key. When you start practicing like one pull on a key, and you're not used to this. Because in Jailer, good example, you would skip phase 2, and you could just completely, in your head, you would cut off that phase. And you're like, okay, we're done with that phase. And obviously that's not true. You never like properly progress this in one go. And then we're like, okay, we need to play this through. And then you could also see in the kill or whatever, everyone was hyped. Yeah, phase 2 was over. And everyone was like, okay, guys, time for phase 3. Yeah, everyone was like, every time we got to phase 2, everyone was hyped to kill the boss, basically. And if you do the different way that you do phase 1, and then you skip phase 2, and then everyone is depressed in phase 3, yeah, wiping for hours. And at least if you make it to phase 2, like through phase 2, we're like, oh, guys, everyone is hyped, yeah, everyone was pumped. And then Scribe came in to raid lead, and it was like, guys, it's time.
The problem too is, oh, sorry,
no, go ahead.
What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
It was like, the problem also is, in some situations, it's better to just commit to your bad strat. Like, Liquid,
exactly, yeah.
Whenever they were complexity limit in Castle Nathria, I'm pretty sure no guild ran their Sired Nathria strat.
I did.
Okay, there is one guild in the world that also ran their Sired Nathria strat. Pretty much everybody else copied how you guys did, like, Denathrius. Yeah. But, I mean, sometimes you just have to, like, fully commit to the strategy that you're doing, even if it's, like, slightly worse in some situations, and you're like, all right, we got to play better. And you can. Yeah. You can absolutely overcome it by just playing better.
That's also one of the points we said earlier, right? Like, one of the things, even if you do play a minimum sub-optimal strat, you can still, like, shave off so much time by just playing that maybe one pull worse strat so good and so optimized that you're just faster than, like, a copied good strat. And I think that's also an issue that some people do in the MDI. They practice for 2 weeks their strat. They see our run. They're like, oh, guys, 30 seconds slower maybe than our good run. They start copying our strat, they throw their progress away, they basically have no progress in our strat, and then they end up with a worse end result than just running their own strat. Right. And obviously then you need to take the hit, and there's a good example. You take if you face, like, say us, we play perfect, you play your minimal suboptimal route perfect, I mean, then you just lose. I mean, but that's how the tournament is designed.
It just is what it is, right? Like, sometimes it happens like that.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that people just do wrong. That's what Click said as well. He was like, we just copied, and then it was a complete disaster at the end. It happens. Even though copying high keys is easier. Need to throw it out. Yeah,
for sure,
copying high keys is very, very easy compared to MDI.
Well, because for high keys, you're only copying one pull more often than not. It's like 1 or 2 pulls. You're like, oh, so they're doing this marginally different. All right, that's fine. Very infrequently are you like trying to copy what Ambition did, where they're brawling the first pack of Foot Soldier. You're like, no, absolutely not. I will not be doing that.
I mean, we did brawl them as well. We had just Click tank all the bleeds. It was pretty easy, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I think like great push level keys are a lot more flexible on the GCDs that you can do in each given strategy. Whereas MDI, if you mess up one GCD, sometimes the whole entire run is over.
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, you have a lot of leeway in high keys compared to NDI in terms of like how much it will make up in the end. Because if you're then 10 seconds slow in the end, I mean, you still time the key, let's say. You don't throw away 40 minutes of progress, but in NDI you lose. So, yeah.
All right, we have a couple of Q&A questions to get to, but first we get to thank the patrons over at the Patreon. They are Paul, Titanforge podcast, more like Tanks Are Forged Here podcast. Haven't played WoW since week 2 of season 4. Am I finally free? Also L. Never Nude, Ja, Dratnos' Dino Pillow, Chromed, Trekkie, Chewy. Trell met 6 good players by pugging 3 days, so now imagine his Tinder matches. ZibXX, Salty Seti, Necris, Sinmora, Tankdil, Nevik, EV Survival Main, No Trick, I Forgot I Was Sub Tier, Dymat, Lufer, Rework Mistweaver. Did you guys know that T-shirts is short for Tyrannosaurus shirts? Nix, Delete Gaming, Gallic, Brusif, Dratnos Abyss, Bert's hacking into the database, oh no, Monk S, Msanity, Xena, Rogue is now good enough for Prague, still bad enough to be sat for SLG, bless up, Red Color, youtube.com/workbringer, Alphabet Soup, Druid Friends of Evolved Gaming, number 1 Simsky for Trelsky, Lurker wants to remind the world that it's not my fault. Milk, Sife, Pone, Windwalker Mugsteel with nerfs by rolling with the punches, due to Sims with 4-piece, Skelly will be going back to Elemental from Enhance, PI no longer for sale, I have a Shadow Fiend to juice, the Marsh Hare, please keep Kyrian Arcane and Dragonflight, and catch me fishing at Lake Chargagagog Manchuaga Gogchua Buna Gungamaug. I hope that's a real place. Or maybe that's a Final Fantasy location. It's one of the two.
I always go fishing there. I know
okay.
that place. It's my hometown, yeah.
I see.
So it's that makes sense. It's German. Of course it is.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That makes perfect
but
sense.
I don't know German, so I cannot help you pronounce the name, sadly. So I'm
Okay.
Yeah.
Unlucky. All right. First question comes from Squishy in Discord, who asks, do you find participating in Great Push or MDI more fun? Do you find watching Great Push or MDI more enjoyable? And what's one change you'd make to Great Push next time to make it better? So playing, watching, and change. Yeah, that's a lot. That's like 7 questions.
There's a lot of questions in one question. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, for the playing, I like MDI more personally because it is a more like theoretical part, like the tactics, more detailed things, let's say, and it's more about the speedrun one-on-one competition, I guess. Great Push is obviously great in its own way. So don't get me wrong. It's just for me personally, I like speedrunning more. Watching, I definitely think that the MDI, for me personally, or I think for players playing the game, MDI watching is really enjoyable because you can see a lot of like cool things. But the Great Push is probably for 99% of the other players more enjoyable to watch because you can just watch something you can do as well. Like MDI, you won't be doing. Like this is how it is. And Great Push, you just go in and you can take 4 of your friends from Discord and be like, guys, we just do the strat. Like, and you maybe do a lower key or whatever, but you can just play what happened as well on the stream, and you can like a little bit identify what's going on, to be honest. So that's really good, I think. And going into the next question, kinda from the what I would make better, it's kind of the thing that makes Great Push less enjoyable to watch is the POV, how it's presented. Because it is not really good, especially in the first 2 days, in my opinion, that there's 6 teams is just not a good number for a broadcast where you can show 4 squares. I mean, that's just how it is, yeah. And then moving things around on the screen and whatnot, because you obviously want to show different routes and different dungeons and different end bosses and whatnot, is nice and all. And if as a highlight podcast, or sorry, not podcast, as a highlight stream, it's very nice to just watch that, I guess, if you want to see like the overall thing. But the one thing that I would change to make it also more enjoyable, all goes in one, is I would love to have individual team streams, let's say, or also like two team streams. Doesn't really matter, but you have like a squad stream from Warcraft where you click on, or you're on this chat or whatever they want to do, and you just see how especially let's say Echo and Monka, that stream, and you can see Echo and Monka, they don't swap. They're on one screen, left, right, boom. And if you want to watch a run from Donuts and Despair, you click on the stream and you see Donuts and Despair on the right side. And you can actually watch a full run without being interrupted by like some highlight or whatnot, yeah? And then if you want to see only the highlights, you can still go back to the main stream. But that's one thing that I would personally, obviously, to tactics still is also kind of nice. But like Obviously, I think from a viewer perspective, I think this would be really nice, especially for people who just want to watch teams, yeah, or a dungeon. Let's say people want to watch an Iron Dogs, and I can tell you, I was trying to watch the Chinese Iron Dogs, what they were doing, and I was going this close to the screen, trying to read
Yeah.
what they were doing on the full bottom right in like 5 pixels.
I know what
And
you're
then
talking about. I know the POV you're referring to.
Like, and I think it would just be more enjoyable for teams. They could just say, "Oh, I want to watch my favorite team. I want to watch Monka do my Iron Ducks," and then they do that. I think it would be a great change.
For me, I think the only thing that I want to feel from this is like, how would you make it better to watch? So you talked about like individual player streams. We actually used to have this for MDI in BFA. Whenever it was back on Twitch,
Yes,
we would.
it was season 2, BFA. I did actually watch back because I was interested.
So like how it would work is like there was 5 Warcraft channels going simultaneously or whatever. Well, I guess it was 3 at the time because it was like head to head. So there was the main broadcast and there was the 2 teams, and you would just get like a full screen of the teams. I think that would be interesting. I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would be like if it was just like a 4-team TGP, and then there was no limbs. Would that be better?
I mean, that would be fine as well, right? 4 teams you can easily good show on the stream. That's great. It's just, I think the main issue was the swapping and like minimizing. Like, I think it was just an issue the first 2 days, because it's 6 teams. It's just not a good number, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
I agree with that. Yeah.
All right, our next question comes from Prupple, who asks, "It's rare in esports for one team to dominate so consistently for years. Any idea why you guys have managed it? And do any of you ever get tempted to retire or take a more backseat role just to reduce the stress levels?"
Yeah, ever. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, obviously something.
Do we take breaks? No. No, but it is true. I mean, I guess it is rare that we have been like so successful over so many years. But that's also one of the things I think that are a big point, because we didn't lose in the beginning, let's say, and we were actually really successful starting off. We kept the motivation of playing together and like obviously getting only better from every time we play, and makes it so we also have fun playing. I mean, obviously, we always have some stress or whatnot. I mean, obviously, if you play with the same people for so long, obviously there's some indifferences at one point, right? I mean, it's pretty normal between
Oh, for
people.
sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is just overcome those, just talk to the people, right? I mean, we all know each other IRL at this point, like we're good friends at this point, so it's not a big thing. But I think one of the biggest thing is also from looking at like other teams and whatnot, is that the success actually helped a lot to stay successful. Sounds kind of weird, but I mean, that's how it is, because if you wouldn't have won the MDIs in the beginning, maybe someone would have been like, I don't want to play anymore, it's not worth my time, like we're not winning either way, or like they need to put more work or whatnot. But because we're like winning the first 2 times, let's say, we got so motivated to be like, okay guys, we need to get even better.
Yeah.
And that has been the mentality since like the last 2 years at this point, that every time we play, we are like, if we don't come up with something new or like cool, innovative, let's say, we're like, oh no, we might be like behind on other teams. Best example is like the 6th player. We're like, yeah, why not just put me out? Yeah. Like I just offered it. Yeah. I was like, okay, I mean, why not just get someone else that is a good gamer, and like I can just do the same things I'm playing. I can also just do outside. Mm-hmm. And that was like one of the innovations that we had in the MDI going into the things. And that's also what obviously helped stay successful. And obviously not to retire in terms of stress level. I can tell you that this is high. I mean, I appreciate that people think that that's not the case, but we had a lot of people like, Robin, I want to play New World, and then I tank time trials, he's coming back, and then I DPS, and then he's like, I can't hear, and then I tank, and then, oh my god, and then like people were not there because of some other thing, and then I was randomly outside coach, but I had to set up DPS characters because I was helping out for half a day. Oh my god, yeah, I have been in every situation. The only thing I didn't do yet was heal, because that would be catastrophic. So, no, but we have a lot of, obviously, I appreciate that people think we don't have any issues, but there's a lot of issues. And we just have overcome them so far in a very good manner, let's say.
It's also crazy because this expansion, Shadowlands, more than ever, it felt like there are some cracked teams, like the Monka team and the Aster Y, now Shishu Gaming team. Dude, all of these teams, the competition level is still insane, and you guys still just somehow, it feels like 2 finals, MDI finals in a row were like are they gonna win or are they actually gonna finally lose? And then you somehow still just win. At the very end, it's like, all right, nope, they're gonna clutch it out one more time.
I mean, I must say, like one of the things that is a little bit motivating as well. So, I guess it's not really weird, but one of the things that is motivating is that we did not really win the last MDIs like in a good, like dominating way. Yeah? In the past, if you remember the second and third MDI, and also the first one I played, I guess, was the second overall or something. Like we went in there, and I was confident in our reaping strat, yeah, because for example the cups where we introduced that you can shut them at reaping, yeah.
Yes.
We were like, guys, no one has this, yeah. Like if we lose, we must be really horrible at the game, and we just dominated the 3 seasons, like, and we dominated. I mean, like we were so sure that I went into the games, and I was like, guys, we will beat people by 1 minute plus in the dungeons, and we did, yeah. And that was insane motivation, yeah.
Yes, you
And then
fucking
obviously,
did.
and now we are like, holy shit, these teams are getting really insane. We're like, okay, we need something new. We need to get better. We need to improve on the. I don't know what it is. For example, one of the improvements that Ken had made for this great push was just proper breaks, yeah? Or like better breaks, less game time, and more breaks. That's what Ken, because normally we play like around like 8 hours, or 8 to 9 hours when we play MDI, and like 10 hours towards the very end, like the last few days to like ramp it up a little bit. And this great push, Ken was like, okay, guys, we need to chill a little bit, yeah, because great high keys is a different format in terms of MDI. MDI, you run it down for like 2 hours on a pull to just make it work and see if it works. But great push, you do like we practiced the 33 streets, and we did it, then again with different affix, and we're like, this is draining, yeah, like 35 minutes of full focus, no mistakes is really draining. So Ken was like, we need breaks, yeah, and we basically had like 2 hours of game time. Then he made a sandwich, 10-minute break. Played another 2 hours, and then we had a 1 hour break, like dinner break. Someone did, I don't know, people went to the gym, went for a walk, whatever, shower. And then we played another 2 hours, quick 10-minute break, another 2 hours. And it was really helpful. And those are like, you know, if the gameplay at one point is over to improve, you need to improve on other things. It's the same thing in Race to World First. We're like, I mean, gameplay is not the main issue anymore, yeah? It's like, bringing the tactics to the people, being motivated, not losing their mind on 25 days of progress. Like all of these things is like way more important than like the 1% damage at one point, yeah. And that's all of these things going to the years of playing together, I guess, because it's easier to make these changes if you know the people, I guess, as well.
Very true.
All right, next question comes from Paul in Discord, who wants to know what it's like to do stuff like coming up with or using the Mechagon healing rings on Gunker. You know, how do you think about, especially in a tournament like this where there was so much teching in different trinkets or things like the healing rings in Mechagon? What's the process behind figuring out when you need to do something like that, and then figuring out like what's going to be the best? You know, how do you decide whether we're going to use Tuft or Weave of Warp Fates or Pod Tender, you know, on the different characters that could use multiple of them, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, and this way we were very low on tech in general in the tournament, because we were the more ethical gamers in every sense, but it was not good, I guess. But we were like, I mean, just play good, yeah. That was the main mentality. We played high keys. We were like, okay, we just play good. We don't need any shenanigans. We have no issues in the keys. And then we obviously ran into issues, so we had to steal the tech from other people, let's say, and what we did. That was one good thing. But coming up with, for example, these things, like especially cheat death trinkets and stuff, we were always a little bit against it, especially because we do already have 2 cheat deaths, let's say. On like Warlock has pot and like a lot of defenses. Mage has 2 cheat deaths in terms of pot, cauterize, and I block as well. Like I will not die. And then the only one who is actually in danger is the Hunter, as I said. Kieran, melee, just a lot of issues, let's say.
Yes.
Hunter has a lot of issues. So we're like, okay, Hunter cheat death, let's say, is more viable, or like more, like you consider that way more, let's say, in any key, let's say, or like workshop where other stuff does damage basically, and you don't need damage from your trinket. But for example, we didn't play Tooth on the 37 Junket because we're like, why would we? Just do damage, right? Because we could just played Sigil, and Sigil was doing exactly the same thing as Tooth, actually, covering the important things on the bosses, weirdly enough, but no one played it. So that was one of the things. But for example, the Mechagon healing rings, like I said, we were very low on tech, and we were only thinking about like obvious things, let's say, like the Mechagon ring we did think about more in the past, but it was also because we were really struggling what to play class-wise, and we were like, is this the right choice? Is this the right route? We had like very little mind to pay to these other things, let's say, that we kind of missed out on, for example, this and like the team performance. They were just living in junkyard and they were like, guys, we need more healing. And then they equipped the healing rings. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think it was obviously like a slip up on our side, but I think we were a lot of focus on other things. And now that this happened to us, I can assure you it will not happen again in the next expansion.
All right, last question comes from Matchu, who wants to know, and you've covered a little bit of this throughout some of this, but were there any other specs that you tested that were like promising or cool in any ways in any of the other dungeons? Anything that we didn't see on broadcast that you like came close to being good, or was it pretty much this time the mage warlock, the Blood DK Holy Priest, and just send it on that the whole way through practice and the tournament?
Yeah, I'm thinking right now. Okay, I mean, thanks. Okay, Blood DK and Holy Priest, like you don't find two more people in the like classes or categories right now. So that's just how it is. Same with Warlock, I guess. One Warlock is always in at least. What he manages, regardless what spec. Yeah? No, but I think the only things we actually really considered was obviously Rogue, like a Rogue Hunter Warlock comp.
Okay.
On like some dungeons, like in Grimrail, we obviously played Rogue Hunter Warlock, right? It was, I think, probably still the best. It was maybe a little bit slower, but it was really good. And then the other comps we considered was double Warlock Hunter. And then obviously we also considered the full range setup with double Warlock Mage, but we actually never played it because we mentally cut out the Hunter out of the comp, and there were only issues. I can tell you, like you just cut the Hunter, and you're like, wait a second, yeah. Like you start practicing. Okay, we don't have. What if we get spites? No binding, bad. What if we get raging? No Sooth, really bad. And then the biggest issue, okay? We cut the Hunter. And people maybe don't think of this as a big thing, but it is a really big thing if you have a 33 Infiltrator. No Mortal Strike, you're out.
Mortal Strike, yeah.
But you have the Doom Guard in this.
Yeah, but it's only half the value, yeah?
Okay.
But the Mortal Strike of the Hunt, I swear to God, when Mike didn't Mortal Strike some Infiltrators on a 33, when we did practice the Gambit, we did practice 33 Fortified Gambit, right? And we ran it down for like an hour and a half in practice, and we didn't make it past the second pull. It was a horrible experience. And the Infiltrator on the second pull, we were focusing someone else, like we were focusing the Goliath. And the Infiltrator didn't die, yeah? Like, he did not lose HP, I can tell you that much. He was 100% the whole pull, yeah? No Mortal Strike equals Infiltrator 100%. And it's such a bad thing, actually, that this is like how it is. I really dislike it. I mean, I don't think people care because everyone was playing meta at this point.
Yeah.
Like, unless I see some random boom kit. Like, yesterday I was parking a key and I was just in the tool. There was a sign up. Warlock, you see the Warlock, yeah?
Okay.
Item level 2.7k right, you're like, oh, that's a good deal, yeah? And then you see right below the Warlock, yeah? Orange class. Sorry.
What IO does he have to be for you to invite that guy? What score? Really?
I don't even know. I don't even know. I've never played with one. I mean, maybe it's good, but why would I not just invite triple dash to Warlock and they just in the back, they let it rain. That's kind of cool. I don't need a boomkin who then has frenzy or some stuff going on, and he randomly then, like, the worst part is you invite a boomkin and you don't even know what you get, yeah. You get a Night Fae, you get a Venthyr, you get maybe in worst case you invite a Feral Druid, and then you're like, what is going on here, yeah?
That's the worst case.
This is the best part of the podcast.
If your boomkin is actually a Feral Druid, that is the worst part.
Like,
yeah.
I swear to God. And then you have the boomkin in the group, and then he pops Frenzy. Okay, a little bit boomkin flame, yeah, but I have observed it again, time and time, especially in the faded raids as well. Frenzy, like it's like you do math, yeah. Frenzy equals minus movement, support for raid, like anything, yeah. And there's only plus damage at the end, yeah. And the equation doesn't, like, you don't solve it, yeah. It's just an error at the end, and that's also the boomkin mentality. Like, you just see the Frenzy getting popped, and they go. That's just the.
I hope you have to play Moonkin again. I hope you have to play
It's just
Moonkin again
the
soon.
the math calculator is just going down, and they only see the numbers. Yeah, they don't see mechanics anymore, aggro, interrupts, everything just disappears from the screen. Yeah?
People forget that Meeres played Moonkin for like 3 tiers too, by the way.
I played Boomkin in the past, and I don't want to go back. Yeah, but the thing is, they pop frenzy, and it's forever over. Best example with the main raid. Yeah, lots of jet, a lot of paddles around. Okay.
I don't want to play
Yeah,
that fight,
paddles.
man.
Like the sleep paddles, yeah? All great,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
We put them good, yeah? We have a boomkin in the middle of all of them, yeah? Also fine. He's baiting, yeah? Good gamer. It's fine. He baits the paddle, it's not on him. Stand still. He gets the fear, yeah? And there's no one, like people can't even go to him, yeah? There's like sleep paddles all around him, yeah? And then you see the button press, yeah? Frenzy. Equus standstill. And then the best part was of that whole clip, Frenzy gets popped, and then the second puddle lands in front of him, but because he has the fear circle, he doesn't see the puddle. He's in Frenzy, alone, surrounded by sleepers, gets slapped in the Frenzy. Oh my god, what a beautiful sight, yeah? Getting instantly punished for not even trying to play the mechanics. Yeah?
How is this our end segment? How? How do we turn
I'm
this
sorry.
into this?
I love
Yeah,
it.
get him. God, we hate Moonkins.
Oh my god, yeah.
All right,
So the
well,
Boomkin players, I was a Boomkin man myself, and I can say I was healing Ashara world first phase, and I did get flamed by the chat because I was not doing damage. So you're welcome, yeah.
I remember you also played Moonkin and Bod as well.
Yes.
I remember Mike also had to play Moonkin and Bod. There was 4 Moonkins in Bod.
Yeah, but too many, yeah, too many. It was good times.
Holy shit.
all right, well, thanks so much for coming on our show. Feel free to come back anytime you've got thoughts about Moonkins. We're happy to have that. In fact, a full episode about Moonkin
Wait.
stories
Oh,
sometime
Hold
soon
on.
if you want. Yeah.
Are you race to world first level 70?
I have no clue. I did not even log into beta yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Not
maybe,
classic, not classic 70, the real 70.
none of the only classic. No, but maybe. I mean, I might consider it. Maybe I speak to Mike and we plan something. Last time the dungeon leveling did not work out right, so I think we just go for questing again.
Okay.
Maybe. But yeah, oh yeah, I mean, of course, to answer that, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. I mean, if I find the opportunity to come back for any fun topic, I'm always I'm always here. And
Yeah, please do. You're a great guest, man.
Yeah,
So much
Meeres
knowledge.
TV on Twitch and Twitter, right? It's a place
Yes.
to find you. So everybody make sure to go follow and subscribe those things. And yeah, that's it for us this week. Bye, everybody.
thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.